Hi, I'm Bill the Geek, broadcasting not live from Lake Chapala, Mexico. The island of Mescala is a real story. It's about the bad boys of Mexico, the bad boys that almost brought down the Spaniards. There were only 1,000 of them, and they used really unique methods to shut the Spanish down. And at the end of the video, we'll tell you how it all came out. If you like bad boy stories, these are about the bad boys of Mexico and the island of Mezcala in Mezcala, Mexico. Hold on to your seat. I'm Bill the Geek. We do travel Mexico videos. We do information about how to get your various types of Mexican visas. We do health insurance videos about living in Mexico. We do tech tips. I share videos on how to get in page 1 in Google, how to get on page 1 of YouTube, how to make YouTube videos, and much more. We also do trips to houses for sale with Katie Ibarra, and that's what we do. We do all things Mexico. So be sure to click the subscribe button so you don't miss out on a thing. Are you looking for a Chapala day trip? Are you looking for a Guadalajara day trip? Are you thinking what to do at Lake Chapala? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then this is the video for you. We're going to Mezcala, Mexico. Some people would call it Mezcala, Jalisco, but specifically we're going to a very special, magical place, and it's called the Island of Mezcala. We're going to drive to Mescala from Lake Chapala, or from Chapala actually. You can see in the map we have the Lake Chapala at the bottom, Ajijic on the west side. We're leaving from Chapala, and from Chapala to Mescala is about 13 miles. It'll take us about 20 minutes to get there. And for what it's worth, there's a gas station right between Chapala and Mescala. And once we get to Mescala, we're going to take a boat over to the island of Mescala. And that's going to be about a 10-minute boat ride. They say that if you're coming from Guadalajara to Mescala, it's about a 35-minute drive. And you can take the bus from any of these cities for about $3.50. We're visiting Mescala Monday morning around 10:30 in the morning. There's no traffic. Never make this trip on Sunday, or there will be a lot more traffic and a lot more people in the city. But you can see it's a beautiful drive. As we got closer to town, there were 20 cows in the road, and we had to stop and wait for the cows to move over, so always be careful. Now we're going to cruise through downtown Mescala. It's a very mellow place. I asked someone, how much can I rent an apartment for here? And they told me, well, you can get a one-bedroom, fully furnished apartment for about $75 a month. Or you can go upscale and pay 3,000 pesos a month, which is about $150 a month. But we're right downtown across the street from the plaza, and we were fortunate enough to find a parking spot right in front of the plaza. And you can see the church here. The church is called the Church of the Assumption, and it was built in 1703, and the towers are just wonderful, and you can see the mountains in the background. We're going to see more of the mountains, but again, it's Monday morning, and before you go to Mescala, go to Google Maps and look up Mescala and zoom in, and you'll see where the church is, and you'll figure out how to get to the Malecon. Teresa saw these chickens, and she wanted me to take a picture, and these are some really big chickens, and they're only like 80 pesos per kilo. That's like $4 for a chicken. Teresa didn't want to buy one because they're outside with lots of flies. But on the plaza, they have lots of shops, lots of places to eat, and on Google Maps, you'll see all of these places. Now this guy, these are almost like donuts. They're flour, deep fried, and then wrapped in sugar. They're very tasty when they're hot, and that little package right there is going to cost you about 25 cents. And Teresa's going to stop here and buy some vegetables. Very inexpensive. Now we're headed into the Church of the Assumption. And we'll take a peek over to the left, and that is the Virgin of the Assumption standing right out there. But whenever you go into these pueblos, it's always nice to go into the church, because you never know what kind of art you're going to see or how they're going to be laid out. But they always have wonderful stained glass windows, very spacious. You never know what ceramic arts they're going to have, or stuff they might have hanging from the ceilings or from the walls. Let's take a walk. And when I was looking at Google Maps, I know where the plaza is, and I know that the plaza, if I could just get to the plaza, I knew that I could get to the Malecon, and the Malecon is where we're going to go to get the boat. And then we'll be able to go to the island of Mezcala. But if you go to Google Maps, find the plaza, then you'll see the Malecon on the map, and it's just 2 blocks away to our boat. And you can see we're parked about 2 blocks away from our car so that we can return to Chapala. And look at the beautiful mountains. Our tour guide said that Mescala is surrounded by 20 inactive volcanoes. So here we go. We're going to speed the camera up a little bit. We're taking our walk down to the Malecon, not far away. The people are very friendly. And here we go. We're at the Malecon, the place where everything happens, and there you can see the Mescala sign. We were fortunate enough to meet this fine woman here, you're going to see in a second, and her name is Maria. She's going to be our guide for the day. And she's like a rocket scientist of history when it comes to the island of Mescala. You can see the island way back in the center of the screen. That's where we're going. Our boat is the blue boat on the right. And 2 guys are going to drive this boat. They look like they're about 13 years old. But the boat trip's going to take about 10 minutes. Now, Maria said, okay, the boat round trip is going to cost you 400 pesos. That's $20. And they wait for you for 1 hour, bring you back. And she says, for me to go with you, I'll help you out, show you what is where, and you just give me whatever you want to give me when we return. And you pay for the boat trip when you get back, and you pay Maria when you get back. And she just gave us so much information. I just had to give her like 300 pesos, which is $15, which is for an hour's work in Mexico. I mean, think about the minimum wage in the United States. So now we're on the boat. It's a nice day. It's probably about 75 degrees. And we have 2 young gentlemen in the back driving the boat. And you can see the beautiful mountains that we're looking at. So let's go ahead and make the trip. Now, the island that we're going to, the island of Mescala, what happened is back in about 1811, the Spanish were really coming into the area. And we're going to see a map here soon, but it's a map of the lake, and they called these guys insurgents. And the Spanish were coming into all these areas here. They had like 8,000 Spaniards. And the insurgents would find them, steal their guns, steal their cannons, and take them back to the island of Mescala. And the Spanish couldn't stop them. Hey, if you're enjoying the video, join us live every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. That's Chicago time, Houston time. We go live for an hour, sometimes more, and we have a group of people that get together and talk about living in Mexico. We ask questions, we answer questions. Join us, click the subscribe button so you can get a notification every time we go live, and you can show up and be with us and have a good time. So we get out of the boat, we're on the island, and they have found remnants on the island from 10,000 years ago. They have found fossils from mammoths, mastodons, and other ancient species found under the Lake of Chapala. But this place is fabulous. There are so many buildings and rock formations that were built for over the last 10,000 years. But let's check out this place first. Now, Maria is going to take us to our first stop, which is a statue of the Virgin of San Juan de los Lagos, or the Virgin of San Juan of the Lakes. And they say this was created by the insurgents centuries ago, and people leave, you'll see like little flowers and gifts that they give her, and she is under this super tree called the Tree of Life. It's right above the Virgin, and it's fabulous. This is not the Virgin's original location. They moved it to this location, but in a second we'll see the Tree of Life above. It's yellow, and if you knock on it, it's like hollow, and it's growing on lava rocks from volcanic actions of the past. It's really a beautiful formation. Now, before we could go to our next location, Maria showed us these fruits, these large green things. Teresa knows what they are, but they look like they would be fruit, but actually they're more like potatoes. And Teresa brought them home and put them in the Instapot. And they kind of do taste like sweet potatoes, and they're firm like potatoes. But Maria's going to take us under these vines, and she just kind of stores them up and gives them to people. But this island is full of fresh vegetation and food to eat. Now we're going to get to the stuff. It's free. To visit the island is free. And I've read places that say that they have security and you have to pay to get in and out. But at this period of time, no, you don't pay anything. But yeah, the insurgents were here for 4 years, and the Spanish couldn't get rid of them. And some of these buildings were built by the Spanish. Some of the older buildings were built by ancient societies going back 10,000 years, or the insurgents. And the insurgents had about 1,000 people. They would leave the island, go help the small towns. The small towns would help them with food, and then they would return here in the evenings maybe. This is a church. And Maria said it really never kicked in, and I didn't understand that. When you get a guide, make sure that your guide speaks English. I could understand maybe 2/3 of what Maria was saying, but you can ask for an English guide. It costs the same money. Now, this is church. We're going to go in the church. Teresa's going to go in and take the steps upstairs, and those steps to getting where she is no picnic. Not anybody can do that. And now she's on the roof of the church, and look at that view of the mountains across Lake Chapala. It was quite breathtaking, actually. And if we go into the church, you can see the high ceilings. Just like the Church of the Assumption on the square, it's almost the same layout. Super high ceilings. And most of the building is made up of lava rock. Almost all of the buildings you're going to see on the island, I'm going to say 45 to 50% is lava rock. Here's an avocado tree. If you didn't know where avocados come from, they grow on these trees, and there are like 40 avocados on this tree ready to eat. The beauty of living in Mexico. Now you can see the sign over on the left. We just passed it, and it says the old barracks, and they have descriptions in Spanish and in English, but they say the old barracks, that's where the insurgents would melt down materials for cannonballs, because the insurgents would get off the island, go find the Spanish, and steal their stuff. That means they would steal their cannons, guns, but the insurgents, they were real good with almost like these slingshot-like thing, and it's a rope, and you swing it around, and then you spin a rock off of it, and they would whoop on the Spanish. They would kill people like that. And they say at this time, which is about 200 years ago, the lake was totally clear. You could look in the lake and see fish. But when the insurgents would go into land and find the Spanish in the middle of the night and whoop on them real good, then the water would turn to a sea of blood. Please leave a comment. What did we leave out? What should we have put in? What videos would you like to see? We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment. We surely will get back to you in 24 to 48 hours. Thank you very much. Now the stone that Maria is standing in front of, you can pour water in that. Water comes out. It purifies the water, which I don't know why that would be necessary 200 years ago. But if you come around here to the back of the formation, this was also a torture device where somebody would, where her knees are, they would get down in that hole, they would tie them up, and the water would drip on their head until they went crazy. And here we are. This is the Casa Fuerte, or the Strong House. Now, you have to remember that the insurgents took over this island and ravaged the area. They were like Robin Hoods. And the Spanish couldn't get them to leave. And we'll tell you how the Spanish got them to leave at the end of the video. But the Strong House, was built in 1817. And the insurgents were active from 1811 to 1816. But once the Spanish got them to stop, so to speak, then they built this place. You can see a moat. The moats used to be filled with water, and they had razors sharp sticks in the water, so that people were trying to get in or out, it would just kill them. But if we go into the entrance, all of these signs are in Spanish and English, and these, there are 28 rooms. As you look around this yellow brick or surrounding windows, there are 28 rooms. We'll go into a room. These were called dungeons. And most of the insurrectionists were in there. Dungeons, and there were 20 to 30 people in each of these rooms. Some historians report that at some times you could have 250 people in a room. They were prisoners. This was a jail. And when it was time to kill people, I'm sure they killed people in a number of different ways, and I mean the Spanish, they would put them on this rock and tie them up in a fashion so that they could not move. And Maria is going to show us the position. They would put them on the rock like this. No food, no water, in the sun, and they would leave them there until they died. That was one form of Spanish killing. And here we are in a room. If you go into one of these rooms, they look pretty spacious. I'm saying, yeah, I could live here. This is a big room, high ceiling. Yeah, I could put my water bed in here, have big screen TV, my Wi-Fi. But in that room, there were like 20 to 30 people. Now, you can climb up to the top of the Casa Fuerte, which means strong house. And the steps getting up there, if you're not physically fit and maybe a little testy, but you can walk up to the top and walk around the roof. Once the Spanish had taken over the island, then they built the strong house. This was a place where the guards could see everything for miles and miles away, and it's really beautiful up here just to walk around the prison. We're on top of the prison. This place remained to be a prison until about 1855, but many insurgents came here and were sentenced to death. And if you look in the rooms, you will see that many of the prisoners left notches on the walls. They would put a notch on the wall every day indicating how many days they had to live. There are many very graphic images that people had drawn on the walls that showed how scared they were. And even today, they say if you come here at nighttime, you will hear babies crying and men moaning in the night. The house, the strong house. It's a creepy place. This yellow thing, we get mixed stories on this. Some people say it was a hospital. It's 3 stories. And they said they had 42 people on each story, and the place is very small. Some people say that they murdered a lot of insurgents in what they called the hospital. In the middle of the screen, you can see another lake. It's about 100 yards from, it's another island. And you can actually rent this island for about 500 pesos a day. That's $25 to have special events. And you can have the events catered also. That's Maria says, sure, come. We'll cook you carne asada. So we're headed back. And now look at this. There's a family out there. They have like 5 or 6 people in that boat. So you got 5 or 6 people. They're paying 400 pesos round trip. And so what's that? That's like $4, $3.50 a person. So it's really a good deal. Overall, it was a wonderful and exhausting trip. A lot of information, a lot of walking, climbing the steps. It was phenomenal. I think, when we left, Maria told us, she said, you've only seen 1/3 of the island. They have other dungeons that are underground. They have tunnels underground, and she said, "For you need to come back and see the other 66%." But to go over there for 1 hour, 400 pesos, and we could go back 2 or 3 more times. Now we are back, and a bunch of children are awaiting us and Maria. The trip was amazing. So how did the Spanish finally stop the insurgents? Well, the only way that they could. They cut off their food supplies. What they did was they burned down the city of Mescala and a bunch of other pueblos so that the local pueblos couldn't help them out with food. And they made it so they couldn't get on or off the island. So There was no food. The people got very sick. A lot of people died. And then they came to a compromise and they surrendered to the Spanish. And that was the end of the insurgent movement. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video about Mezcala, Mexico. It's a fantastic place, the island of Mezcala. What a story. Please click that subscribe button. We have many more adventures to come.